That was another thing of conformity. Let's see, in '57 I went to college, and I understand in some of the colleges today, sororities and fraternities are really big deals. I was a part of a sorority, Alpha Gamma Delta, and what they did then was, if you were going really steady with a boy and you planned to get married when you graduated or anything, part of a sorority was, part of your uniform was, you were wearing a sorority pin, which was the worst every morning to put on. It had two parts, a part here, which was the signature of your sorority, and a part here, which was your the year. And in between was a chain, and these were little things, and they had to be put on a girl's breast. It was very hard to manipulate them, but you wore them every day. Well, when a fellow liked you enough to ask you later maybe to marry him, he gave you his pin, because he also had a fraternity pin. My husband belonged to Kappa Delta Rho, and so then you would take his pin and cross it with your pin. And it was really romantic, because that
and
was,
took an hour every morning.
No,
It sounds like.
this is the romantic part. We girls lived in girls' dormitories. There weren't anything like co-eds, and I lived in a huge one. Believe me, if you could get lost in it. Anyhow, when a fellow was going to pin you, his whole fraternity came over. Like you had to be in by 10 o'clock. So they knew you'd be in at 10. So after 10, they would all come, and they knew where your window was. And under the window, they would serenade you. And they would have flowers that they would give you. So everybody knew that you had been pinned. And the way I got my pin was at a fraternity dance. Sororities and fraternities at their social events always gave a favor, and it was really a nice favor. In his case, it was a circular gold jewel box. And when I opened it, I just was going to say thank you for the box, because I knew he really liked me. Like, I wasn't really surprised that he gave me his pin. But that's how he gave it to me.
But I came from a very small town in northwestern Pennsylvania up by Erie. So I could always go out and get work.
Tell them about how you worked right before college. Tell me about that story.
Oh yeah, I graduated from college, and there's a glass plant in town. We made glass bottles, ashtrays. Glass was a lot more prevalent than plastic. Plastic really wasn't that.
It wasn't invented.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was invented, but it wasn't in all these uses. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really didn't. So maybe like a lot of you know you got to do something, but what? So I went to work in the glass plant. My dad was a boss. My uncle was a boss. My best friend's dad was a boss there. So I got in pretty easily, and I worked for 6 months. And I was making $1.50 an hour. And I was running a broom, pushing a broom on the floor. The guy beside me had a wife and 5 kids, and he was making $1.50 an hour. So Jim, you're not the dumbest guy in the room. Close, but not really. So that's when I really decided, hey, I've got to go and do something when I went to college. But one thing I remember with that, the glass is mixed together in a big ceramic urn, probably about the size of this room. The bottom falls out every so often because it burns up from the intense heat. I think it was 1,700 degrees in there, and something around there. And they hired several of us to go in underneath and poke out that fallen part down there. We could only work 10 minutes at a time because our eyelids would dry out. Couldn't blink. So that was my experiences. And I remember down there, 2 guys, another guy was in there, we were poking what had fallen down. I looked up and there was a catwalk up above, and there was my dad standing up there. Just making sure, one, probably that I was still there, and I was still with relatively safety. But and a lot of people did that. That was their opportunity in life, and did it well. I guess I just decided to do something else. But I would say overall, with so much media, so many opportunities, so many types of music, so many opportunities, so many schools, I think it's more complicated now. I don't envy you guys at all. I don't. that shouldn't scare you. It's just the way it is.
just a postscript on music too, as it applied to girls' pearls, is that it was a good way to meet boys. Because that was a time when a boy had to ask you,
Girls didn't
to
do that.
dance. A boy had to ask you to dance. It wasn't today, like you could, dance individually or whatever. So that was, a good place to meet boys. On Friday night after football games, we went to a place, I forget the name of it, but it was, all the kids from all the towns around came there. And a boy would come over and ask you to dance. And a very popular, we all jitterbugged. And we all wore clothes with all these crinolines under the skirts, so that as you turned around real fast and all that, your skirts would fly out. Girls could dance with girls as far as jitterbugging, the slow dancing, it was always boys and girls. And they had a day in school called Sadie Hawkins Day. It was a big deal. If you really liked a boy, that was a way to let him know that you liked him, because you asked him to that. And we gave him corsages, and the corsages were made of vegetables. They were really clever. It was like carrots, broccoli, anything hard like that wouldn't squish when you were dancing. You put a ribbon on, and the guys wore it. And also you went in the same shirts. Like you'd buy a guy's shirt, but then a small for the girl. So that's the way you could tell the couples. And just lastly, I know you would have mentioned Elvis. When Elvis first came out, he did all the gyrations, which all the adults thought were really wicked and very
They
suggestive.
condemned him, so we loved him more.
Right.
Just like you. We were just like you guys.
When he was on television, like on the Ed Sullivan Show, they were only allowed to film him from the waist up. They figured all that gyrating on the lower part was very suggestive
Get
and
everybody
wicked.
excited. Could we do that?